Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Mamukelashvili. You're listening to the Raptors Reaction Podcast, which is a presentation of ToonieBet Online Sportsbook and Casino. What you're about to hear today is not going to be nice because the Raptors dropped, I would argue, given the circumstances, their worst loss of the season. They dropped a pile of stinking shit all over the floor. The locker room right now, it's about 5 minutes after the game's over, so it should be silent. Darko, Scotty, they should wear a lot of this one, man. Jakob. Because the Raptors lose tonight. 123 to 115 against the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings, who have a record of 20-57 on the season. The Sacramento Kings, who have the, half the roster out. The Sacramento Kings, who prior to the game, I'm watching DeMar DeRozan warm up, and it's heartwarming seeing DeMar come back. Forget what Drake says. DeMar's jersey number 10 should be in the rafters, okay? And he's not ripping that down because he deserves to be up there. And I know DeMar catches a lot of heat. We all can take a little shots, but DeMar's a great player, okay? He literally just passed Dominique Wilkins for, I believe, 17th now on the all-time scoring list. This man's got more points than Tim Duncan. This is what I saw before the game. DeMar DeRozan was basically lollygagging through warm-ups. He spent as much time practicing his shots as he did chopping it up with Michael Grange, getting a hug with Doug Smith, Josh Lewenberg coming over. Every member of the Raptors organization coming over, showing their respect, because that's what he should get, right? And so first half, when he comes out and has 2 points, you're like, okay, I see what's going on here. You know what I mean? He wasn't that serious. Second half, DeMar DeRozan has 26 points, including the game-clinching three-pointer from the corner to absolutely torch the Raptors down the stretch, showing the Raptors what a true closer looks like, by the way. And we'll get to the Raptors side. But okay. To some extent, I can accept getting killed by DeMar DeRozan. That man is still a very skilled player. And, he's honestly, he's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. Allowing 28 points and 19 rebounds to Precious Achiuwa when you need every win down the stretch to preserve this season and to save face and to save yourself in the standings. Again, let me read that again to you, because we all know who Precious Achiuwa is, okay? We've seen him in the Raptors. This must be what Masai had in mind when he said, finally, you are mine now. Masai probably having probably having a great laugh at this, kicking his feet up. He's got his job with the tempo now, looking all good. 28 points and 19 rebounds for Precious Achiuwa. Pathetic by the Raptors. Absolutely pathetic. And not to say that they didn't play hard or, let's just hold hands and just only look at the positives, positive Darko, always going to find a silver lining. Couldn't find a timeout when the Kings went on a run, but let's find the silver linings here, okay? We've been talking about Point Scotty. We've been talking about, the return of Yak. Oh, big celebration before the game. Oh, bring it up. Oh, Yak's playing a back-to-back. Whoop-de-doo. That he's playing a back-to-back. If him playing a back-to-back means that Precious Achiuwa is going to outwork him for 28 and 19, sorry, what was the $100 million extension for? Not forget holding good centers like Jalen Duren, who had 30 points last game. Okay, I'm asking for you to not make Precious Achiuwa look like Wilt Chamberlain. Again, when the season's on the line, and yeah, they continue to not have IQ. Brandon's got a heel thing, so they're resting him. Okay, Jameson Battle's been out for a week with an illness. Is he okay? But whatever. You still got enough. And it's the Kings. And the Raptors, from start to finish, were not taking this game seriously, not controlling the ball, not defending to their principles, and definitely not getting on the defensive glass. Precious Achiuwa had 11 offensive rebounds tonight. 11. By himself. The entire Toronto Raptors team had 5. Precious Achiuwa more than doubled up on the Raptors on the offensive rebounding front. And I'm putting that on the front court. Jakob, Scotty, CMB, Mamu. Raptors started playing 2 bigs. It didn't matter. Raptors should have played 3 bigs. Go Sam Mitchell style. Give me Jermaine O'Neal, Chris Bosh, and Andrea Bargnani. Because that's how many people apparently it takes to box out Precious Achiuwa at 6'9". But you know why he got so many offensive rebounds? It's not just because of the bigs. It's because the Raptors could not guard the freaking ball. Malik Monk dribbling in circles. Nick Clifford dribbling in circles. Devin Carter driven in circles. DeMar DeRozan driving in circles. Could the Raptors stop anybody from getting to the spot that they wanted to get to? Could they stop anybody from going through a pick and roll? No, they couldn't. They couldn't guard the 3-point line. They couldn't stop fouling them either. 29 free throws for the Kings. And this is the crazy part. If the Raptors just made their own free throws, this might have been a better game. Because it was down to a 2-point game down the stretch. And it was like, okay, wow, the Raptors are 22 of 32 from the foul line. So you're left 10 points on the table. And the Kings of all team are 27 of 29. They only missed 2. You missed 8. Sorry, you missed 10. Who's in a playoff chase? Which team's 20 and 57, man? Which team's at home? And here comes the silver linings. It's the second half of back-to-back. Bullshit. We just saw the Pistons play the second half of back-to-back, playing overtime against the OKC Thunder without several of their top players. And what do they do to you? Run you off the court. And you come back a night later from Detroit. It's not like they went to the moon, okay? Freaking Detroit. It's a 3-hour drive. You come back 3 hours later. I can't box out Precious Achiuwa. I can't contain the ball. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with this type of effort by the Raptors? And then honestly, we always talk around it, right? Responsibility falls on the leader. You know what? It wasn't even Scotty Barnes who pulled the Raptors back into the game. Raptors had a chance to come back, down double digits in the fourth quarter. You know who pulled them back to life? You know who dragged them back to life? It was Jamal Shead, who's been taking a lot of heat, who's been playing really poorly in the month of March. And honestly, fair enough. You know what? He's been playing poorly. I saw that man play with a lot of heart, though, man. Down the stretch, fourth quarter, getting into the lane, getting a couple buckets for himself, getting threes open for Mamu, getting crossover and ones. And he single-handedly dragged the Raptors back into relevance in this game. Gave them a fighting chance at the end of the game. Where was Scotty for most of this game? And you can't say, point Scotty, So the ball's in his hands. Every play. He decides where to go. Is it going to be me? Is it going to be RJ? Is it going to be Jamal over here? Are we going to go in the post? Are we going... Whatever. The ball's in his hands. The world is his oyster. And I understand. He's played a lot this season, Will. Long season. Second half of back-to-back. Spare me. You know what I saw at the end of the game? I saw hero ball. Rarely Scotty plays hero ball. He plays his own version of hero ball. Because for the first 40 minutes, he was doing that Rajon Rondo impersonation. I'm going to get to the bucket. No, here's an assist. Here's an assist. And here's the thing. Yeah, who doesn't love an unselfish player? Who doesn't love a guy who's giving 10 assists for like 6 straight games now? But there's a context. There are 3 plays in the fourth quarter where Scotty has an ISO, okay? Isolation, one-on-one against Devin Carter twice, who is 6'3" with a fading hairline, against Scottie Barnes, who's a superhuman, and then another one where he's against Malik Monk. And all 3 times, he chose to pass out of it. Once he slipped underneath the CMB under the basket. Free throws. Split them. Once he shoveled it to Jakob. Another time he just didn't, attack. You have the ball every single time. And you have the physical advantage to score over everybody. You have the length to shoot over everybody. You have the ability to call every single play. Come get the screen now and this. You know what? Late down the stretch, I saw Scotty start to take over. And I was wondering, where the hell was this the entire game? Didn't even look at the bucket. Finally, at the end of the game, takes DeMar one-on-one, goes to the bucket. Takes DeMar to the free throw line, gets fouled. Takes Malik Monk, yells A under the basket. The referee gives him the free throw. Great. Scored 3 times. Where was that in the first 46 minutes of the game? And then again, this is what I mean by hero ball. Because if you look at it, the Raptors were down I believe 2 points. They had just missed their opportunity to tie. And then Scotty decides on his own accord to blind double against against Malik Monk, who had the ball at the top. He freelanced his own decision and left DeMar DeRozan wide open alone in the corner. And Malik Monk kept his dribble alive, saw where the action was coming from, and found DeMar wide open in the corner. The reason the Raptors couldn't rotate there, that wasn't the plan. Wasn't the plan. Why would the plan be to abandon DeMar DeRozan? This man had 26 points in the second half, right? And he leaves the ball wide open for 3. And you know what happened? Scotty looks around and is like, where were you guys? What do you mean? You freelance. And then to make it worse, he comes down the other side of the floor and takes a pull-up 3. Yeah, I want you to be aggressive, but that's not a good shot for you. You just sold that whole possession 2 ways. And guess what? The position to even salvage the game wasn't made by Scotty. It was made by Jamal. And yeah, Scotty did good things during the stretch. But I'm sorry. It's contextual. We can't just give him the out every single time. This was a challenge at hand tonight. All credit to the Kings because they played fantastic. They played awesome, right? But this is what you would expect. On a night-to-night basis, your job changes, especially if you're Scotty and you're that versatile. So what's the job tonight? Well, could the Defensive Player of the Year candidate, could he stop DeMar DeRozan, who again had 26 in the second half? Or could he stop Precious Achiuwa, who had 28 and 19? And if the answer is no, then can he give you scoring? Because, yeah, okay, the 10 assists is good. The playmaking, is there, and the willingness to play make is there, and it's fun. But if you can't stop the Kings from scoring, then you got to supplement your own scoring. And, you're always asking for the world. Guess what? Ask DeMar DeRozan about that. Shit is hard to be a franchise player. Every single night, that comes down to you. What are you able to do to salvage the situation? Yeah, you don't have Brandon with you. Yeah, you don't have IQ with you. Yeah, you're tired because you're second half of back-to-back. Whatever. This is what it is. And then what is enough? We are in the middle of a playoff race. And yeah, Sacramento played out of their minds, and credit to them because Malik Monk was a killer, Precious was a killer, DeMar was a killer, even, Nick Clifford hitting a 3 late in the game, and Maxime Renault, making plays and stuff occasionally here and there. Carter making a couple plays. Daquan Plowden hitting some random 3s, even though this guy couldn't buy a 3 in warmups. But that's just what it is. You have no reason to allow this loss to happen. None. And yes, it falls largely on Scotty, but it also falls on Jakob, who, yes, he got spoon-fed layups and drives. That's great. But the defensive end, I'm sorry, I just saw the box score and it says Jakob Poeltl has 5 rebounds. In fact, RJ has 5 rebounds. Scotty has 5 rebounds. Jakob has 5 rebounds. Jacoby has 4 rebounds. Jamal has 1 rebound. That's 20 rebounds total by the Raptors starting 5. Precious Achiuwa had 19 rebounds in the Raptors' entire starting 5, with 2 players bigger than him in Scotty and Jakob had 20 total rebounds. This game came down to rebounding. Why did Sacramento win? They had 19-5 in terms of offensive rebounds. And of course, with the loss, the Raptors are now into the 7th position. They are now in a tie with the Philadelphia 76ers, who locked in and won tonight. By the way, Tyrese Maxey's back. Paul George is back. Joel Embiid, not allowed to play, throwing a fit on Twitter. But guess what? The Sixers are locking in. This is what you're supposed to do at this time when you got a gimme win, okay? Philadelphia plays Washington. They scored 153 points. And they won, obviously. This is what happens when you're going down the stretch here. Atlanta beats the Orlando Magic by 29 points. That slander pod feels like a million years ago now. And what do the Raptors do when they have an opportunity? Again, one of their 3 gimme games of the season. They drop a stinking deuce all up and down the court, losing 123 to 115. And to twist the knife in even deeper, it is their former great in DeMar DeRozan and their former discard in Precious Achiuwa, who absolutely drove the entire length of the way. There were some good things that happened. You know what? I expect that against Sacramento. Raptors were slipping behind the defense. When they played good offense, they got, the ball inside. It was good. When RJ stopped the ball, wasn't particularly good. The fact that the Raptors couldn't rebound is not particularly good. The fact that the Raptors couldn't guard the ball wasn't particularly good. I liked what Mamu brought. I liked what CMB brought. I liked what, Jamal brought. Jacoby, unfortunately, was MIA in this one. But again, I don't see how you could possibly, as a fan of the Raptors, let Scottie off the hook for this one. This was an absolute brick. And that's not me being unfair. That's not me being ungrateful, because you can go through the entire show. We have praised this man up and down, this season in particular, because of how locked in and how focused he was. Wasn't enough tonight. Just wasn't enough. And honestly, Raps now dropping the play-in feels right. When I see teams making the playoffs at the end of this, it's the teams that finish strong. Atlanta, who's played stronger than them in the second half of the season? Seriously, right? They've freaking, every time I look at the box score, they're scoring 130 points. They just beat Boston. They just took care of business tonight against Orlando, right? So Atlanta, they're probably in. Philadelphia, you knew they were sleeping, not a giant, but they're a sleeper threat. Maxey, Paul George, Joel Embiid, healthy at the right time. Nick Nurse playing these guys 45 minutes. They could have fallen apart. They could have, fallen into despair. No, now they're finishing strong again. And the Raptors, you know what? The big dirty secret about the Raptors is they had a great stretch in November, and they have played 500 ball the rest of the way. And even in crunch time, when it's time to ramp it up, the Raptors cannot. They can't find consistency. They can't find an identity. Even down the stretch. I mean, look, this was game 76 on the season. Playoffs start in 2 weeks, right? Play-in starts in 2 weeks. Which other playoff team is looking for a new identity 6 games left in the game in the year? Because that's what the Raps are doing right now with Scottie. They're like, hey, it's point Scottie time. All right, cool. That's great. Worth it a try. Worth an invention. Again, I would love it if, you gave him the ball more and he scored more, but he doesn't. Okay, it's a weird anomaly, but it happens. 6 games left in the season. And honestly, what is the end goal? Like, I honestly question what the end goal is. We get to the play-in. We get to the playoffs. I'm sure Darko and Bobby will spin it. They'll be like, hey, our goal in the year was to play meaningful games. Wonderful. You got to feel the experience of what it means to have a must-win against Sacramento and drop it. There is your meaningful experience. And are you going to learn from this experience? Is it going to burn you deeply to motivate you to lock in and focus and guys getting each other's faces and really challenging each other to get to the next level? Well, if the Pelicans game didn't, if Jamal getting bullied on the floor didn't, then why would this one? Raptors aren't waking up, man. They're a 500 team. They're mid. If they make the play-in, if they make the playoffs, it's all kind of the same. They're going to lose in the first round, or they're going to be bounced to the play-in. They're not going to be a factor. Every team in the top of the standings should be angling to play the Raptors. If I'm Detroit, hell yeah, I want the Raps. I just beat you without Cade Cunningham. If I'm the Celtics, please. I might be able to rest Jason Tatum the whole first round. If I'm the Knicks, oh man, if I'm the Knicks, a lot of things have been going wrong for the Knicks, but I'm rubbing my hands looking at the Raptors. You know what I mean? Oh, the Get Right series. You know what I mean? You think slander pods are bad by me? How about getting slandered by Side Talk Sports and by random New Yorkers? You'll find that a Canadian is a lot less polite, or a lot more polite, let's say, than New Yorkers on the street. And Cleveland? I mean, you got to get to the 5 seed at least to get to Cleveland. Raps aren't getting that far, man. It is what it is. They wanted to play the tough games. They're finding out they're not that tough. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll get to your questions, man. What a brick of a game.
This segment is brought to you by Table Fare and Social. Get your pre-game bites and after-work drinks at Table.
It's a great location, right across the street from the arena and just steps away from Union Station and the Metrolinx bus terminal.
Will, I love my wedge salad, but there's plenty of options at Table. What should we have next?
Oh, We could have salad for days, my friend.
Oh, you're talking about salad days? You know I love salad days, man. They got a different salad for every day of the week. You can never get tired of the options there.
Oh yeah, I heard about this place. This was your go-to lunch spot forever. You always said the lettuce was so crispy.
Man, it's so crispy and fresh, and now this can be your go-to meal before Raptors games.
I like that. Grab a pregame salad at Table Fare and Social right across from the arena. All right. Let's take your questions, guys. Karam, I'm sure we got lots of them, so let's just go through it. Worst loss of the season, and I don't care who was injured for us. To beat the Kings, you literally need to play 24 minutes of serious basketball, and they couldn't do it. Yeah, they could not do it. Again, I'll give the Kings a lot of credit because they have no reason to play this hard. They did it. I'm sure Precious has a revenge angle. DeMar obviously loves playing in Toronto. Referees, by the way, gave DeMar a lot of those like rip-through fouls too. Like the fact that he got 2 3-point fouls and he made 2 threes, that really hurts. But credit to DeMar, man. I mean, this is what he does. I mean, I've seen a million of these games. So we're officially in the play-in. We're 7th. Yeah. Barnes looked totally disinterested out there tonight. He is not a franchise player. You know what? I don't agree with that. I agree with the sense of he is usually so locked in. He is usually so impactful. And so an off night, him being human, I can understand that. I'm not unsympathetic, and I'm not being facetious when I say that this was below his standards. If this meets your standard, then you don't think Scotty's a franchise player. I've seen much better from Scotty Barnes. Tonight was not enough. Just not enough. And I'm sorry, it sucks. It's like, hey man, who's got to run point? Probably Scotty. Hey man, who's got to stop the guy? Probably Scotty. Hey man, who's got to rebound? Probably Scotty. Well, that's why you're a franchise player. That's what it means to be a franchise player. You got to do everything that's up there. Question, Will, I personally wish we never had that win streak early on. It was fun, but gave us false hope for what this team is. Now we miss out on a lottery pick and a good draft and likely see a sweep, if that. So, generally speaking, I'm not universally opposed to teams being in the middle, but it's conditional. It's like if a team's in the middle, but they're on their come up, it's relatively okay, right? It's a step towards something else. But there has to be built-in momentum and built-in talent on your roster already that's just like, ready to, mature. And so when I think about teams that are in the middle this year that should be okay with being in the middle, I'm looking at teams like Charlotte. Charlotte might finish with a slightly worse record than the Raptors. But everyone's going to be happy with how Charlotte's season's gone because you know that you got Brandon Miller, you got Collin Knipple, LaMelo Ball, Musa Diabate. These guys are going to keep growing. Ryan Kalkbrenner, Sion James. These guys are going to just keep growing together. And unlike the Raptors, they've knocked off OKC, San Antonio, Boston. They have top tier wins. Even going on last year. Detroit, I think they only finished with 44 wins last year. Raptors probably will finish with 44 wins on this year. So what's the difference between 44 wins? Detroit, clearly, we're going to take another step this year. And they have. And they've developed an identity last year, physical, tough, and this year they just only extended that. They build more pieces around that. The Raptors, you might argue that there might be a little more built-in upside. But where is it coming from that it's going to meaningfully propel them to the next level? Where is the identity that is unshakable? You know what? Last year, when I saw the Pistons lose in 6 games to the Knicks, I was like, you know what? You gotta accept that because A, the Knicks are way more experienced. B, the Knicks are better. And C, 3 of the 4 games that the Knicks won were like right at the buzzer, right at the very end. They fought to the very end. I don't even see that level of fight. You know what I mean? Like, forget how the talent fits and everything like that. The level of consistency of fight isn't there for the Raps. Tonight they fought in the sense that they fought and scratched at the end there, and they couldn't get it done. But that's not the type of fight I'm talking about. I'm talking about, again, like, yeah. I think we're very close to the mid teams that, like, the Bulls were previously. We're we're just mid. We're just mid. I don't know. I guess I came to my peace with it a couple pods ago, so I'm not trying to like circle back on the same block, but we're just mid, man. $5. We should rest all our starters remainder of the season. What's the point? We're gonna lose all our play-in anyway. Rest for next season. Okay. Do people just like giving up? I don't know. I don't like giving up. I hate that the Raptors, don't have that level of fight that other teams have. $5 here. On a lighter note, are you going to be doing a show during the World Cup? Yeah. I mean, we'll be potting through the summer, so I'm sure we'll be talking about World Cups and stuff. It'd be great to, yeah, I don't know, watch something different. $6.99. I love Jacoby's defense. He's so pesky, but he needs to learn how to play defense with his feet, not with his hands. So many fouls because of that lately. Yeah, DeMar schooled him a couple times tonight. DeMar schooled a lot of people. I mean, listen, DeMar has, again, he's 18th all time in scoring now, man. Like he's schooled a lot of people, but yeah, Jacoby, 32 minutes tonight was not impactful, and it's disappointing because you really needed him to play well, and he didn't here tonight. So, Will, can you explain why Scotty randomly ran and doubled Monk with a minute left? He couldn't trust himself to get one stop against the Kings, led to a wide open three. Yeah, hero ball. I'm telling you, it was hero ball. And it's not hero ball like I gotta jack every shot, because that's not in Scotty's nature. But that freelance moment, followed by him just jacking up a random three, kind of sealed the comeback. Like, I mean, they probably weren't gonna win regardless, but it kind of tells your teammates, like, I don't trust you guys. And whatever. They probably weren't trustworthy. But as a leader, you have to show every single time that you trust your teammates. And Scotty's typically great at that, but he couldn't do it. So this is a demoralizing loss. I'd rather just watch them develop guys at this point. You know what's good about watching development is you get to pretend like everything's okay and every loss is good for the lottery balls and whatever. The hardest part is getting serious and seeing which players can come with you for that process of getting serious. The hardest part is trying something and failing and still being motivated to try again the next time. It's so easy, and it creates this loser mentality in the NBA when teams just tank over and over again, and then they can just say, well, don't worry, every loss is technically a win. I'm not against tanking in general. I think that there's obviously lots of times where strategically it's necessary. When your team is depleted, it's necessary. But I don't like this mentality of like it's easier to just watch development. I'm sorry. It's not easier to watch Sacramento than it is to watch Toronto, no matter how painful it is today. How many times can you say Darko outcoach somebody? So, I mean, look, in a game like this, what I probably would have wanted to see was certainly a too big front court, probably more Mamu and Jakob together. Now, granted, we're putting two bigs on the floor means there's two targets for the opposing guards to put into pick and rolls, but I think the bigger priority is that you have to keep Precious Achiuwa off the glass. You also saw Darko switch up his lineup, so he technically benched Jakob for the second half in the sense that he put CMB in the starting lineup. CMB was playing better than Jakob, but unfortunately, DeMar put him in foul trouble with a bunch of pump fakes. Also wish the referees didn't call every single pump fake for DeMar, but I mean, whatever. I guess we've benefited way more than that as a Raptor fan, so I can't complain. It's like complaining about Kyle Lowry taking the charge against us. It's like, all right, nobody's benefited more than from Kyle Lowry charges than the Raptor fans. So, but in any case, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Even getting the team ready to play maybe is probably the bigger thing. Raptors are on ice and they keep slipping. Do you mean like on thin ice? Yeah, they're kind of on thin ice, man. But missing the playoffs should cost someone their job. You know what? I don't think so, actually, because the person who decides this will be MLSE president Keith Pelly. And if you heard our episode earlier today, Keith Pelly actually said, unprompted, at the press conference for the Leafs when he relieved their GM, Brad Treliving, of duties yesterday. He actually, on his own accord, cited the amazing job done by Bobby and Darko. So I don't think these guys are losing their jobs. What's the change for next season? Coach, GM, players, or do they all deserve more time? I think realistically, I don't think they're changing GM. I don't think they're changing the coach, and I think they'll probably change a couple of the players. I'm not gonna lie to you. The lack of perimeter creation is so, like, it slaps you in the face. Like when you look at, okay, Jamal had like a great fourth quarter, and we would love to see that on a more consistent basis, but at least it's good to know that it's in there. And I commend Jamal so much for his fight because he single-handedly brought the Raptors back. But when you look at the level of playmaking talent of DeMar DeRozan and Malik Monk, and you compare it to what the Raptors had, it's not even close. Like, part of the reason why their bigs feasted so much, again, is because their guards dragged us all over the place out of position. And again, that is just DeMar DeRozan and Malik Monk. DeMar's like 35, 36 years old, and Malik Monk is like just what he is, right? The fact that those guys look so damn good, like, I can't even in my mind fathom Scotty scoring the way DeMar did with that level of like foul baiting and getting guys. And it's just like that plan, like a surgicalness of what DeMar did. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine Jamal just hitting pull-up three after pull-up three like Malik Monk, you know? And the level of perimeter creation needs to be better. And honestly, when the game was down to 2 points and they gave the ball to RJ, and Scotty didn't try to attack, he just swung it to RJ. And RJ didn't have a mismatch either because he was against Nick Clifford, who's bigger than him. But then RJ trying to drive in the middle and ultimately committing an offensive foul, trying to hook a guy. It's like, you compare like just the level of perimeter shot creation of other teams to Toronto, that is where, like, and again, you go into any potential playoff matchup, right? Let's say you see the Knicks, can anybody create like Jalen Brunson? Not even close, right? Can you go against the Cavs? Can anybody create like James Harden and Donovan Mitchell? Not even close. If you go to the Celtics, can anybody create like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and even Peyton Pritchard? Not even close. And against the Pistons, that's the one team that doesn't have that perimeter creation to that elite degree outside of Cade. But even last game, when we saw it yesterday, Danis Jenkins dribbling circles around the Raptors. And where are the reps? I know they didn't have IQ, but even IQ doesn't do that consistently enough. So, $2, most boring Raptor squad since Primo Pasta. I think it's okay. So the reason, and I've used the same word with boring. The reason we called it boring is there's no suspense. Like, you know exactly how this team's going to go. I think the suspenseful part is this kind of like dread right now that we're feeling, which is like they finally went off script. Yeah, they lost to Detroit, but that's on script. They lose against good teams. What about the bad teams? Well, they usually take care of business against the bad teams. Well, they went off script. They weren't boring today. I will take that back. They were not boring today. You cannot predict this one. Are injuries to blame for the Raptors season? It's certainly not ideal that guys are out at this important juncture of the year, and so it could feel like injuries are hurting the Raptors. But realistically, the Raptors have been one of the healthier squads. Their star players have been available. Ingram's had one of his healthiest seasons in his entire career. Scotty's been available pretty much the entire year. You look around the other, teams. They've suffered more catastrophic injuries in terms of losing the more important players. The Raptors have had their important guys. The thing that they haven't been able to do is find any level of consistency. And that has to be frustrating to no end. And I hope, maybe the coaching staff calls it out at some point. It'll be a first. Jamal's plus 17, by the way. His best game in months, and was thrown away by our starters' egos. What can you say? He gave you... What did he give in the fourth quarter? A crossover into a layup, a crossover and getting fouled on a drive, a driving kick, hits Mamu for 3. He steals the ball from DeMar, then he drives it in for an and 1. Then he had a top of the floor 3 to cut it from 7 to 4 points after the Raptors lost momentum. Then he had a pick and roll drive and dish it off to Jakob, who got fouled. Jamal, everything he touched in the fourth quarter was gold. Yeah. Can we get some dynamic scoring on this team Damn team, please. Yeah, I mean, that's what this team is missing. It's missing so clearly. And honestly, it's been missing for several years when you really think about it. Because, all due respect, but I wouldn't necessarily call Fred necessarily that dynamic of a scorer. Especially, like he's a good operator as a pick and roll, can catch and shoot for three, but like as dynamic of a scorer, nah, come on now. And part of the thing is we just keep drafting forwards, and we keep drafting limited offensive players who we hope to teach them how to play offense. It's the NBA, man. This ain't hoop dome on a Tuesday. You're not gonna teach them enough skills and they hit a growth spurt or whatever. A lot of these guys either have it or they don't. You know what I mean? And we've had to import offense. We've imported IQ at a high cost. We've imported RJ. We've imported Brandon Ingram. When was the last time we developed a scorer? I think it probably was DeMar DeRozan. 279. Not gonna lie, not liking Barnes recently. Not on number one or number two. I mean, it's really tough because the point Scottie experiment was really fun, and it really did save the Raptors in a bind in some of the recent performances, obviously against Sacramento or against Orlando and New Orleans. But I also think that like it's glaringly obvious that he doesn't have that most playmakers nowadays score at will and they need to be double teamed and then they play make out of that. Scottie, weirdly enough, is kind of closer to a pure point. And I don't know, maybe it's just the idea, even the verbiage of pure point, it sounds like altruistic, it sounds good, it sounds like that's the ideal. It's not the ideal. If the person with the ball isn't a threat to score, then the defenses are content enough to just let him get around. And yeah, you're going to have a couple assists here or there. Yeah, he's going to score a little bit, but the person with the ball has to be a factor to score, and especially in the modern NBA. It just has to be. It's kind of non-negotiable. We're not going backwards in how the game's going to be played. When is IQ due back? We don't know. Darko did say that, he got he took the boot off and did some work or some whatever, but hopefully he's back in time. I can't imagine he's back at 100%. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, against Memphis, that's another game that they should win. They better win that game. And after they win by 30, and everyone's going to be like, whoa, look at us. You know what I mean? Like, no, let's not do all that. Let's skip to the thing, okay? We're not bringing it against Boston. Boston's an auto loss. In fact, that's red rest Scottie and Brandon for the Boston game. Just throw out the bench guys. AJ Lawson, Elijah Martin, go out there, have some fun. Just watch that 30. It's inevitable that they're going to lose in Boston to the Celtics. When they come back, they need to have everyone available for the 2 games against Miami. That is going to save and determine your season. If they can get 2 wins over Miami, they can overcome this loss to Sacramento. And then they have New York, which may or may not, at this point, New York's sliding, so I can't imagine game 81 against New York. New York's just going to punt that game. But that will be a pretty tough game, regardless. Again, the Raptors have yet to beat New York in 3 years now. And then the last game of the year is game 82 against, Brooklyn. It's in Toronto. I think we win that one, but yeah, I don't know. What is this tank talk? This team needs to play their ass off and stop this foolishness. Yeah, I mean, look, we've already decided that going into the year, they were not tanking. So, this idea that the Raptors, it's going to be better for them to go in the play-in. It's going to be better for them to lose the play-in and get, improve lottery odds. I'm sorry, but, just because Dallas and Atlanta won the number 1 picks in the last 2 drafts because of the fact that they got lucky does not mean that you should be playing for a 1 to 3% chance of jumping into the top 4 or getting the top pick. It's a 1% chance, okay? If 2 guys jump off a cliff and they both miraculously survive, you're not supposed to be the 3rd guy to jump off the cliff. Stupid. Will, is Scottie playing unselfish because he doesn't have a bag to score? This is one of the central questions. It really is a central question. I'm not going to lie to you. I think he doesn't have the mentality to be a consistent scorer. Like, I can't, like, okay, just if you're looking at other players, okay, like, it's already, the job is done when you have 6'9" superhuman versus their point guard, or 6'9" superhuman versus their shooting guard. You should be good, especially in single coverage. Yeah, if the double team comes hard at you and there's nothing else to do and there's a wide open layup, pass that ball to the lip. Great. But there's so many chances. There was no Brandon to defer to. There was no IQ to take the ball away or whatever. There's no excuses. What did he have tonight? 14 points on 5 of 14 shooting, and he did most of that scoring late. Too little, too late. Will, thoughts on Scottie assist hunting? It clearly affected the team's play. Huge reason why Jamal looked way better tonight because he just played basketball. Man, this is going to be a really divisive episode, huh? In my opinion, it looked a little assist hunty. I think there were lots of moments where Scottie had a clear advantage and he didn't take it. And I don't know. I mean, on one hand, you might say, what's wrong with your star player being unselfish? But of course, after you lose, you look at it like, what do you mean? You only went 5 of 14. I think that the other things for me is, like, he's starting to throw the ball away a lot in transition. And, like, I know he's trying to, like, really force the action in transition, but one of the issues with the Raptors is that even though they play a lot in transition, they don't actually capitalize on all their chances in transition. So a lot of that is, like, guys just not running the floor well, or guys turning the ball over. And as the leader of the team, especially as the point guard, some of these turnovers in transition are just, like, really loose, like throwing the ball over the top to a guy being fronted to the post. That pass has to be made accurately. Throwing a pass in transition, that pass needs to be made safely. And I don't know. That level of care just didn't necessarily, or that level of focus and care didn't really seem like it was entirely there tonight. Scottie back-to-back 22 assists, but just 19 points on 7 of 22 shooting. 0 of 5 from 3, 5 of 12 from the foul line. Darko, quote, he has a lot on his plate. He's trying to play make, but we also need him to score. It's finding that balance. Yeah, I mean, it is true that that is kind of the finding the balance. Look, guys, it's not the first time we've seen Scottie play point. It's maybe the first time we see Scottie play point this season, and so it is a bigger thing. And it is a worthwhile conversation, and we've definitely talked about it, and we've been impressed by it too. It's not to say that people are, like, wrong to be impressed by it. Like, of course, I'm rooting for everybody in the Raptors. That includes the most important player in Scottie Barnes. But I have to say, we saw Scottie play point a lot of last season, and we saw Scottie play point a lot even in his second year and even in his first year. I remember even in his first year. Remember Fred went down for a bit at the end of the season, and Scottie played point, and they were doing that weird Vision 6'9" stuff. But there is a pattern, and it's weird because typically, and I've said this before, but I'll repeat it now, it's weird because most times you give a player the ball, they're going to score more because they have the ball. And you can't score without the ball. You could score, like, you can get open without the ball, but you need the ball to literally score, right? So if you think about these big forwards have been given the ball recently to take the offense and run as a big forward, you look at Denny Avdia for the Blazers, you look at Jalen Johnson for the Hawks, those guys got the ball more, they didn't have a point guard with them, and their scoring rose. The weird thing with Scottie is you get the ball more to Scottie to operate on his own at the top of the floor, he's going to score less, weirdly enough. And that's because he's not in the perfect positions to score. He's not a guy who's, like, that comfortable getting it off his own, getting downhill. Obviously, he's not going to shoot a pull-up three and hit them. He's been better off of, like, rolls to the basket, which you can't do, again, when you have the ball. He's been better when he's in the post, which you can't always get yourself into with the ball. And it's just such a awkward player to build around offensively. Even though, like, the idea is good, his instincts are good, his intentions are good, he's a human being, he's allowed to have an off night. And he wasn't the only guy who was bad. RJ was also quite bad tonight with the 5 turnovers and 8 of 19 shooting. Again, Yaka was quite bad. Like, it's not just one person. But of course, there's so much focus on this. And, like, it kind of drives you a little wild because it's like, yo, this were 5 years of, like, how do we use this guy in the most ideal way? 5 years, you should have a very clear, definitive idea. 5 years of Cade Cunningham, the Pistons are like, we're going to treat him like Luka. 5 years. And we're still like, maybe you try this, maybe you try this. 6 games left in the season, maybe we try this. I don't know. Same problems all season. A lot of inconsistencies, man. It's a very inconsistent team. Laziest game from Scotty, looked out of it. Did we just get ourselves lottery balls? Brother, you might have more luck buying a 50-50 ticket, man. I mean, Bobby Webster, April Fools. Yeah. Point Scotty is on a sustainable source of good half-court offense. Too easy to defend. Yeah, I think even Sacramento did a really good job of containing. I mean, they had, Precious actually did a really good job defending Scotty multiple times, blocking it. Yeah. Yes, I'm a Yak fan, and he was not great at rebounding rim protection today. Yeah, he was quite frankly pretty terrible in this one. CMB was strictly better, but unfortunately CMB got into foul trouble because DeMar baited him a lot. So hit the like button. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Sorry for the bad mood. Nuggets fired a championship coach. We can fire Darko. Okay, but I mean, realistically, what's 6 games left in the season gonna do? And honestly, at least with the Nuggets, they had Jokic, who you can and Jokic as well, so you can basically trust them to run themselves in a way. And then they promoted one of their assistants, who was already interviewed many times around the league for openings. And obviously, David Adelman is the son of Rick Adelman, legendary coach. Not to make this a separate conversation, but who's on the Raptors bench that you're like, hey, we could just slide the ball over to him? Like, great coaches aren't going to jump in April. Okay, that's hard to do. Usually, if you're going to do that kind of move, you slide the assistant in. So last year we saw with Thomas Asalo taking it in for Taylor Jenkins, and then you saw David Adelman come in for Mike Malone. You want Jama coaching this team? You might get more smiles than Darko. You want Pat Delaney coaching this team? Coco? It's our batch. They don't have that assistant right there. It's ready to slide in, right? So, Mike Malone will be nice. Yeah, I mean, why? Okay, if you're Mike Malone, why would you slide into a team that you have no training camp over, you have a complete stranger to, and you are taking over a team that is 6 games out of either the play-in or the playoffs? I'm not saying it's like a no to a job, but no, I don't know. The Raptors, they've decided this season to make a go of it as a group. They have to make a go of it as a group. I take Becky Hammond over Darko. Okay, this is just fantasy stuff, man. Why would Becky Hammond leave the Aces to do this right now? It's not great. We got to start benching players based off their performance. I don't care how much you make. Time for accountability. Okay. Fun fact, there's never been a defense-first franchise player that leads a team to a championship. So, what are we doing? Defense-first franchise player that led a team to a championship. I guess you wouldn't say Ben Wallace led the team to Pistons to that championship, right? Tim Duncan played both ends of the floor. Certainly was great on the defensive end. Hakeem, again, same thing. Excellent on the both ends of the floor. I think you have to excellent 2 ways, but yeah. I mean, but what are you gonna do? Like, okay, the thing is, I don't really see the reason of casting aside Scotty just because he's not a number 1 or number 2. Like, oh, Bill Russell got 11 of those things. Okay, all right, let's go back to the 60s and 70s, man. Cool. Good. Scotty reminds me of Rodman, defense only. I don't know. He's clearly more dynamic than Rodman offensively. Like, come on now. Seems unlikely to me, but can the Raptors climb out of this play-in at this point? Do you think this will be it for Bobby and Darko? No, because I just told you. Like, we just heard. Maybe I think I have the clip ready, right? So, I actually have it from earlier today. So, we'll just show you the clip if that helps. But yeah, I mean, this is MLSE president Keith Pelley, who is Bobby and Darko's boss. Okay, this is what he said.
I have no desire to be into the weeds and count paper clips at each teams and be involved as deep as I've had to be at some point. When you look at my involvement currently right now with the Toronto Raptors and with the job that Bobby Webster and Darko are doing is remarkable. I was very involved as we
He just said the job that they're doing is remarkable. Okay, he's not
rebuilt TFC, realizing very quickly that with the two Italians playing for us, we had a cultural challenge. We moved 14 players. We changed a number of structural things at TFC, and Jason Hernandez, who is the general manager, is now running that on a day-to-day cycle. I'm a little bit more involved right now with the Toronto Maple Leafs for obvious reasons, and again, I don't want to be involved in the day-to-day. And that comes down to having the right structure and the right people in the right roles. And the Argos with Michael Clemens and Mike Miller. Mike Miller is just spectacular as a head coach. He's phenomenal cultural guy, and I have high hopes for the Argos this year. So my role is as the CEO. My role is not to get involved in the minutia, and as Darko said, one of the keys is we need you to continue to bring positive energy, and so if that's my role with the Raptors, I'll take it.
So a couple of things. Number one, obviously the most notable is he said the job that Bobby and Darko are doing is remarkable, and then he ends the whole spiel with basically what Darko told him to do as president of the Raptors. I mean, he's president of all of them mostly, but he's president of the Raptors. Basically told him to do was bring positivity, and he's accepting of that. Doesn't seem like they're going to let them go, man. So, $2. I've accepted that Scotty scoring is just a bonus. Man. I don't know. I mean, hopefully the skill level improves on that front, on the scoring front. I mean, look, if Scotty's going to reach the level that, the organization wants out of him, the level that Darko has expected out of him, then the scoring is a non-negotiable. I'm no longer going to fall for I'm just unselfish and everyone's playing off of me. That's good. We need that and the scoring. And it's not an either or. It's year 5, maybe in year 6 that comes back and that happens. But the outside shooting is still inconsistent. Up until this point, the free throws were really consistent. Unfortunately, tonight he was 4 of 8. But in general, I have seen the improvement on the free throw line. Some steady improvement at the mid range, but it is, in terms of scoring, the improvements are marginal. And I don't really see a case otherwise. And I know people are very sensitive to the subject, so they'll very immediately point to, the team around them, the spacing, guys aren't scoring, whatever. I mean, I'm not particularly interested in that. I'm just not. The team is what it is. The team can be improved, but ultimately, I expect star players to elevate above their circumstances. Who has terrible spacing? The Pistons, man. They score all the time. And Cade scores all the time. So, you're a champ. Well, thanks for orchestrating this group therapy. You're welcome. I don't know. I feel grateful to you guys for watching in the first place. So, there you go. What do you got for me, man? We've gone from having a hard ass and Nick, a guy in Darko who just babies guys. When are we going to just strike the right balance in a coach? I'm not gonna lie to you. The in-person experience of watching Darko in the timeouts, he is yelling at guys, but I mean, I don't know. Harback, Dwayne Casey. He's available. He's still got those big suits. He could take those suits out. What can Barnes get you in a trade? I don't know, man. Dog, we're 6 games left in the season. Can we wait for trade talk later? There's a lack of perimeter creation, but there's enough shooting to give Scotty space, but coach defers from that. Yeah, I guess let's build a perfect scenario for Scotty. So, ideally there are strong defenders at the point of attack, so that he doesn't have to guard perimeter players. as much. He can do it, but it takes away from his ability to help at the basket. Ideally, there's a center, so he doesn't play center on the defensive end because it burns him out. So ideally, there's a strong center and a strong like point of attack defense. So strong point guard, strong shooting guard. Then, of course, ideally, everyone else can really shoot, right? And everyone's also smart and they know how to cut. That's probably the ideal team build. So if you were to put that into like literal terms of like which players you would want, let's say I would give like a I don't know, Drew Holiday at point. At the 2, you probably need somebody with the handle in addition to the defense. So I don't even know who that is in the modern NBA. Let's go with Con Knipple, let's say. The defense isn't that strong, but obviously he can shoot really, a premium shooter and a really good cutter as well. So let's give me Con at the 2 with, prime Drew Holiday at 1. At the 3, you probably need like a 3-and-D guy. Probably switch a little bit with them. Maybe OG. Scotty at the 4. And then at the 5, you need a floor spacing center who also can do a lot of the rebounding and banging against big players. So maybe like old Marc Gasol. Like that's the ideal team build around him. Yeah. Should have tanked all season, got the Bantha, and laughed the next 10 years, which a real offensive number 1 and consistent defensive player of the year candidate in Scotty. Here's the thing. Okay, let's say you did that, right? Which, again, would have been ideal. No guarantee, but it would have been ideal. How would you have gotten this team to be as bad as the Washington Wizards, the Utah Jazz, the Indiana Pacers of this year, even the Sacramento Kings? How would you have done that? Could you have rested RJ, IQ, traded Brandon somehow, even though you just traded for him, rested Scotty? You've already made these guys punt 2 years of their prime careers. You make them do it a third time, they're just wanting out. You have no team culture whatsoever. Then you got to obviously get lucky with the lottery balls to even get AJ, first off. But let's say you get AJ. Now you have a rookie who's coming in as your number 1. Hopefully that translates. I believe in AJ, so I believe it translates. And then you're going to need for him to grow and mature at the same rate while Scotty is still very happy to be here. Meanwhile, we're paying him the max and just asking him to lose more games. Because when the team struggles next year, everyone's going to say, well, we should just tank again. And then we should just tank again. And then we should just tank again. And it's hard. It is very hard to thread both timelines here. April Fools, Raptors didn't take tonight seriously. I'm not going to lie to you. I think part of the reason I'm a little cheesed is the fact that not only was the loss to Sacramento bad, but I also sat through the Jays losing 2-1 in extras to Colorado, which also quite hurt. Who's a bigger April Fool than Brendan Little or Pelly? I'm not going to lie to you. Brendan Little actually had his best outing of the season. And yes, he gave up the game-winning run. But like, I don't know. That doesn't even count towards your ERA because it's a ghost runner on second. And he gave up a single. In any other out context, if he gives up a single and strikes out 3 guys, like you're actually very happy with that outing. And there's no complaints. And as a consequence of his outing, his ERA dropped from 47 to 30 something. So, I don't know. Poor guy, man. The loss wasn't on Little. The loss was on the bats for not being able to hit. What's the likelihood of Dick being here next year? And they need to sign AJ to a long-term deal. We don't lose talent when it comes so cheap. I don't know. Actually, Grady was really shooting the lights out of the ball earlier today in the warm-up. He probably shot like 80 to 90%. I was actually very impressed because Grady hasn't been at that consistency even in warm-ups recently. So, yeah, we'll see. Let's take this question, actually, because I really did. I like this comment here. Not going to lie, you're being hypocritical, Will. You're basically the conductor of the Point Scotty train after the Magic game, and the rest of the people in this chat were conductors post-Pels game. You know what? I'm happy to say you got me. I support Scotty Barnes because he's our franchise player, because I'm a fan of the Raptors, and he played well. And so I showed him love, I showed him support, and I wanted to see more of it. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to play up to that level since that game. I didn't think it was a wrong decision, especially now you don't have a lot of playmaking, so you're either playing through Scotty or you're playing through RJ, you're playing through Jamal. Out of the three options, I thought Scotty was the best option. He hasn't delivered, but you got me though. I agree, you got me. I was supportive of it, but you know, it's not up to me to play the hoops, man. Sorry. Sad. Grady didn't get normal 4-minute show tonight. Yeah. We need improvement. Let's see what Bobby does in the offseason. Yeah, that's kind of the story of the year, no? Jacoby's the only bright spot this year. If he puts on some more muscle, what's his ceiling, Will? I think the tough thing is he doesn't have like offensive creation because he doesn't have a handle. So the muscle is important, but I also think he needs to develop more of a handle. Otherwise, he's kind of be strictly a 3-and-D guy. And there's like degrees in which how good of a 3-and-D guy you can be. But without the ability to play make off the like to dribble, handle, get to the spots. Even recently, I think teams are really scouting the fact that he loves to pump fake. And I don't mind him pump faking in the lane and stuff. You draw fouls and stuff. But one of the downsides to pump faking when you're 6'4" in the lane and not particularly strong is guys like slap down on the ball and it's a loose ball and now you got to be in a jump ball. And you've seen him recently when he's pump fake when he should have just gone up strong, trying to draw a foul, trying to do something, try to gather, and him getting stuck. That happens a lot actually when you're pump faking. So that is the downside of that. And I don't believe he's the only positive, by the way. I think CMB is a huge positive this year too. His ceiling is maybe like KCP. Yeah, that's what basically people said after the draft. Why do teams bother on closing out to Scotty tonight? Precious gapped him, and it put a stop to everything. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the issues with Point Scotty is like he isn't a threat to score when he has the ball. And that is an issue with every type of lead playmaker is if they're not a threat to score with the ball in their hands, especially in today's league, like that, you know what I mean? Like nobody's clamoring for Rajon Rondo to come back. No one's clamoring for, you know, that type of like, I know it's hard. It's hard. Even like the best passers in the game, like Jokic, right? Halliburton when he's healthy, these guys still give you 20 and 30 in their sleep, man. Doncic, right? Averaging 10 assists and stuff, but he's still giving you 30. You have to, the scoring is an absolute must. The point guard position is almost dead. Everybody has to play make from their position, and the person who can play make the most consistently between a mixture of their passing and their scoring is the one that should have the ball and have the offense run through them. When your leader is weak-minded and the team follows, this L is on Scotty. I don't know. I don't want to do the psychology there. It's kind of rude. Man, we should sign Precious. Would be nice to see what he brings to Raptors. Precious, baby, come back to us, man. Hey, let's run Vision 6'9" one more time. Okay, we got CMP and Precious and Scotty, Mamu, okay, and Brandon. There you go, Vision 6'9". We could do it again. Let's get Precious come back to us, man. Precious come back to us. Where is TJD? I don't know, but TJD kept smiling at me in the warm-ups. I don't know why. He was just stretching in front, and I was just watching guys like warm up and stuff. He kept smiling. I was like, okay, I don't think I've ever talked to TJD, but yeah, he just kept smiling at me. So I was like, okay, nice guy, but yeah. Jakob is comfy with his contract. Precious was hungry tonight, trying to get his next contract. That's all it takes for Jakob to get exposed. I mean, God, okay, if you pay that much for Jakob, you pay the premium for Jakob. What you will love is to just not worry about it. Like, just okay, I paid a lot for this, but I can just not worry about it. It would be great if I could just take my mind off of it. And unfortunately, I cannot tell you with the real earnestness and truth that, like, hey, I can just take my mind off the center position from the Raptors. I don't. Tonight, and the fact that he played a back-to-back and was like, oh, let's celebrate the back-to-back. Brother, it is just a back-to-back. You know, like we treating this thing like it's sliced bread. It's just not back to back. It happens. So we knew coming into the season we had a flawed roster, but man, to see them crumble in this way is just embarrassing. Can't wait till this roster is reconstructed in the offseason. Hopefully it happens, but other Raptors are in a difficult position, man. I mean, I think they have their own picks. They're up against the tax, but I think there's clearly a couple moves that they can make. Like I said, like if they can, they'll probably go shopping, let's say with 2 picks, not this year's pick, but maybe, actually, I don't know. Maybe they're not that attached to this year's pick. We'll see. But I think what you'll likely see is rumors surrounding RJ Barrett, Grady Dick packaged up together with a couple picks to see what the Raptors can get back. Because those two guys are expiring salary, and the Raptors need upgrades, especially in the backcourt. Maybe there's enough there. And maybe you get that player in, and all of a sudden you're fine with building around Scotty and Brandon. And I don't know. I don't know where that leaves you with IQ, to be honest, but whatever. I guess that's what they tried the first time with IQ. People forget, but that was the primary objective of making the OG trade. And, the idea was to import in skilled offensive creators. And IQ at that time felt like the most gettable, most promising one. And, he's good, but he's not, like, game-changing good. It doesn't matter, though, 5th place or 10th place. If they're playing like this, it doesn't matter what spot they end up in. Yeah, I agree. I hate the tank mentality. I hope they figure it out. Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to tank, you got to have a plan to tank. You can't just tank willy-nilly. You got to tank hardcore. In this era of the NBA, you got to tank hardcore. And you can't just decide to tank like 5 games left in the season. I think it's just, sometimes it's like a coping mechanism. It's like, I'll feel better if I thought that, we're just kidding, we weren't trying. It's like, that's always been lame to me, Try and fail. That's 100% cooler than not trying at all. Can CMB become the defender Scotty is today? More confident CMB being able to fill in a role, non-max deal, which will make roster construction easier. I do agree with you. I mean, if CMB gets to the level where he's max contract player, then obviously he's made a lot of improvements, but I can't necessarily see that based on where he is right now. A more flexible, cost-effective defense-first piece. Like CMB's going to be a defensive monster. I think he really will be. But, yeah. Yeah. Wemby 25 and 10 in the first half. When can we get talent like that? I don't know. If we had talent like Wemby, he'd be the greatest talent we've ever had in franchise history. No, come on. So, but yeah, Jays lost 2. Hey, tell me about it, man. I was there present for both games. Spent like the entire day just watching my teams lose. He watched them go on a 20-5 run and didn't call a timeout. Worthless coach. The funny thing was, so Raps are already down a lot of timeouts. They were down at like 2. And then after Jamal got the and one with like 5 minutes left, there was like confusion over like, was there a timeout called? And somehow they came back from the break, and Matt on the broadcast explained that it was like, well, it was kind of an unintentional timeout, but it was charged to Toronto as a mandatory. And I'm like, why is it charged to Toronto on a mandatory? And B, like, that was our like second last timeout. So we only had one more the rest of the way. And it was a close game. I don't know. Like, it basically put him in a position where if he wanted to call a timeout to stop something, he couldn't really fully do it, So, I don't know. They ran out of timeouts today. It is what it is. They also, did they use the challenge today? I don't think they used the challenge either, huh? Again, it was a 1-possession game at one point. No challenge used. Okay. Blue Jays and Raptors both got beat at home by a team wearing purple, and there's a purple moon tonight. Freaky stuff, man. Where the heck is Shamshay? I believe he's living in Mississauga. Comes to 905 games. Hopefully he's healthy and available. At least we'll always have this April Fool's prank on Alex. That was a pretty good prank. What is this prank here in the chat from Shams? J. Cole has signed a contract to play in the Chinese Basketball Association with the Nanjing Monkey Kings, per ESPN sources. The multi-time Grammy Award-winning and multi-platform artist had committed to playing a few games for the Chinese team last year and now follows through. Is this funny to people? This ain't that funny to me. Okay, people find this funny. Okay, all right. I didn't find this that funny, to be honest. To be honest, I guess I don't know. I guess I'm not in the like a laughing type of mood, but yeah, I don't know. It was also like, I think Raps Republic also did something today where they were like, Raptors, re-signed Chris Paul, or whatever. I was just like, okay, was really real human beings spent time on this? I'm not even trying to hate, man. I'm just saying, like, it just, I don't know. There you go. Could the Raptors sign J. Cole instead? I don't know. I mean, people really find this stuff funny, huh? Okay. I know they probably won't find any takers for Yak and IQ, but they should try to trade them in the offseason. Darko and Bobby need to go to. Maybe get a good return from Ingram. So, okay, we got rid of our GM. We're going to get rid of our coach. We're going to get rid of our starting point guard and starting center, and we're going to get rid of our starting 3. No problem. You know what? in order to do something like this, monumental things, you need a strong president in mind. So I guess Keith Pelly, you got your hands full, man. You got your tiny hands full with a lot of work today. Okay, you got to replace 3 starters, and you got to find a new coach and a GM. Not realistic is what I'm trying to say right now. Should we play the Sixers in the play-in or not? Oh my God. Yo, Nick Nurse beating the Raptors in the play-in? Ooh! Oh, God, just kill me, man. Just kill me already, man. God damn. By the way, the play-in, honestly, play-in is actually scarier than the playoffs to me. Like, whatever, playoffs, and there's a sense of like, you know what? We made it. Okay, we're going to lose, but we made it, okay? You know, there is a sense of that. Play-in terrifies me. What do you mean you got to win a 1-game play-in against Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George? What do you mean? You need to win a play-in against the Charlotte Hornets, who have been giant slayers all year. What do you mean that you have to beat Orlando after you just beat them by 52, and they must have crazy motivation to come back against you? What do you mean you might have to do it twice? I don't know, man. Terrifies me. Play-in terrifies me. $5 from Emma. Funds towards a chill choice. Thanks for facilitating this necessary session. You know what? Take that $5 and we'll facilitate that chill choice right now. Everybody, when you have a game like this, when basketball is this stressful, Coors Light is there for you. Staying chill is the winning play. Try to stay chill in this episode. I think for the most part, I kind of rose to like maybe a DEFCON 2. But it wasn't like, you know, all the way up to like, actually, I think 1 is the highest, right? So I guess I got to a DEFCON 4, but it wasn't exactly a DEFCON 1. In any case, having a Coors Light at a sporting event could probably take the edge off, especially your games against the Sacramento Kings when you lose and you must win. And of course, you know, when they reach for the beer, hopefully it's the mountains turn blue, and that's going to mean that the beer is as cold and refreshing as the Rockies themselves. So when the game heats up, why not make that chill choice by grabbing a crisp, refreshing Coors Light? Find Coors Light near you. Visit CoorsLightShop.ca. Celebrate responsibly, and you must be of legal drinking age. Banter pod tomorrow. Banter pod on Friday. I'll be much more in a better mood. I mean, typically, the bad moods don't last like beyond that night, right? So we just get it out now, and then we just move on. You know, Banter pod. It's going to be good regardless of if the Raptors are bad. You know, we all know that. Yes, the Raptors need a productive vet. They lack discipline, play with immaturity, and no urgency. Yeah, I can see that for sure. And then lastly, rain check for Jays tonight. Brother Karem. Yeah, there's no need to come on and talk about that Jays game, okay? I watched the whole game with Alex. It was unfortunate to see like the Jays leave. Like, it feels like they stranded like 20 runners. I don't know. It's a tough one. So anyway, we're just going to wrap here and hand out the 3 stars from tonight's performance. First star is going to go to, let's give it to CMB. I think this is a career high 20 points, probably CMB's first 20 ball. Unfortunately, he got foul, grifted into committing 5 fouls in 18 minutes, but, you know, that'll happen. You get rooked sometimes. Second star, I'm going to give that to Sandro. 17.6 rebounds, 3 assists, 7 of 10 shooting, 3 of 5 from 3. Just keep letting those things fly, Sandro. Like, stop overthinking and just shoot the ball, man. And then tonight he was great with it. And then your third star is Jamal, 16 points, 7 assists. Single-handedly willed the Raptors back to life in the fourth quarter. Played 37 minutes as well. Only Raptor to suit up every game this season. You think someone's tired, it's probably going to be Jamal who's tired. But he had the burst of energy at the end there. Unfortunately, he didn't close it out. Gerald Henderson award winner. I mean, come on, dog. It's Precious Achiuwa, man. Precious Achiuwa. Come on, man. Honestly, I have a soft spot in my heart for Precious because, like, he was incredibly talented, and it's unfortunate that his career never panned out the way that maybe he expected, maybe that Masai expected. But Precious Achiuwa has this like random gear in him, and he played like it tonight. I always thought, based on the way he's tried to play, that he thought he could be as good as Giannis. Tonight, he was Giannis. So, Precious Achiuwa, man, what a sick game that you had here tonight. But you might have single-handedly put the Raptors in the play-in, and if that's your revenge, well, enjoy every minute of it because you played fantastic. So thanks everyone for listening. I appreciate you guys. No show tomorrow, thankfully, and then Friday we'll do some banter pods and we'll watch the Raptors hopefully beat the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't know. Get excited, guys.